Hi, I'm Eric Fry. I'm here in downtown San Francisco to expose what Elon Musk did inside the walls of this building right behind me. This is where, a few years ago, he and a couple other billionaires launched what I'm calling Project Omega, a project that's soon guaranteed to affect every aspect of your life. Bank of America has already confirmed it could revolutionize everything. Love him or hate him, I think we can all agree that Elon Musk already helped change the world with PayPal, Tesla, and SpaceX. But I believe Project Omega will be much bigger than all of those combined. Because what's powering this project could soon mint a new wave of millionaires, billionaires, and even the world's first trillionaire, while at the same time plunging millions of unprepared Americans into poverty. These billionaires have been silently working on this project for the past 7 years. And finally, on November 30th, 2022, they flipped on the switch. And that's going to have huge implications for you, no matter how much money you have, no matter where you live or what you do. I believe those who don't prepare could soon be trapped in an economic death spiral. I believe they'll fall behind and might never be able to catch up. Goldman Sachs economists are already warning that 300 million jobs could simply disappear. One industry insider warned that nobody is safe. Even the CEO of Elon's project, the man who actually flipped on the switch, has admitted this will reshape society as we know it. But while millions of Americans will end up on the wrong side of this paradigm shift, you do not have to be one of them. You see, according to Forbes, Elon Musk's Project Omega is set to unleash the greatest profit engine in history. I'm talking about an estimated $15.7 trillion in new wealth. But if you want a piece of that pie, you're going to have to act fast. Because as the website Digital Trends says, Project Omega has been moving at an unbelievable speed in recent months. If you blink, you'll miss out. So pay close attention because I'm about to reveal all the details of what has been called the biggest revolution in human history. I'll explain why I believe this project will create new millionaires, billionaires, and even the world's first trillionaire, while also driving millions of Americans into a government welfare program known as Universal Basic Income. I'll show you the 3 steps you need to take today to be on the winning side of this massive economic shift. And I'll even give you the name and ticker symbol of a stock that could skyrocket because of this trend, totally free of charge.
Hi, like I said before, my name is Eric Fry. I've spent the last 30 years working in Silicon Valley and Wall Street as a broker, entrepreneur, analyst, and hedge fund manager. A few years ago, I entered an investment competition against 650 of Wall Street's biggest names, including billionaire hedge fund legends like David Einhorn and Bill Ackman. I'm sure most people thought I had no chance, but with an average annualized return of 150%, I ended up beating all those legends and winning the whole thing. They even gave me the title of America's top trader. How is that possible? It's simple. Over the past decades, I've developed what can only be described as a sixth sense for the market, an ability to see big trends before the masses catch on. For instance, back in the year 2000, I warned everyone that the dot-com bubble was about to burst. Those who listened to me avoided the bloodbath when the NASDAQ plunged 78%, and many tech companies went bankrupt. I made a similar call in 2005 when I noticed another bubble, this time in the housing market. I even went on CNBC to get the info out to as many people as possible. And by doing so, I potentially saved thousands of Americans from financial ruin when the housing market completely collapsed 2 years later. More recently, in 2021, I predicted the crash in tech stocks and advised my readers to jump out of the very popular ARK Innovation ETF. Soon after, tech stocks crashed and that ETF dropped about 70%. In all, I've helped to alert investors ahead of crashes for 73 different stocks. I'm telling you all this because I want you to take my warning seriously. This time, we're not dealing with just another bubble or a potential stock market crash. No, it's much bigger than that. Because I believe Project Omega will turn the growing wealth gap in America into a black hole so large that if you're on the wrong side, you will never be able to catch up. But if you take the 3 steps I'm going to cover here today, you could end up on the winning side of this $15.7 trillion economic shift. In fact, with these 3 steps, you'll have multiple chances to make as much as 10 times your money. And look, I know that might sound too good to be true. I'll be the first one to admit that finding a 1,000% gain opportunity is very rare. Most people go their entire lives and never make 10 times their money on anything. But I've done it not just once, not twice, not 3 times. I've done it 41 times. Take a look. I'm talking about opportunities to turn $1,000 into as much as $17,220 in Valero Energy, $60,410 in Westpac Banking, and even $113,370 in Royal Garden Resorts, just to name a few. And I'm here today because I believe Project Omega is creating a new rare opportunity for you to make those kinds of gains multiple times in the coming months and years. But those gains will only be possible if you act right now. Simply put, the train is leaving the station and you need to make a decision right now. You'll have to jump on board or you'll be left behind. And you could end up on the losing side of this paradigm shift. I say that because we saw something very similar with the internet in the 1990s. Those who leveraged that new technology prospered and dominated the market, while those who ignored it were destroyed financially. Take Netflix, for example. Even though the company started by mailing out DVDs, it quickly pivoted to just letting their customers watch their favorite movies and shows on the internet, what we now know today as streaming. Meanwhile, their biggest competitor, Blockbuster, completely missed the internet boat. The result? Bankruptcy. While Blockbuster shareholders lost everything, had you invested $1,000 in Netflix, you could have turned that $1,000 into as much as $229,000. The contrast is ridiculous. Blockbuster shareholders got wiped out, and over 3,000 people lost their jobs, while Netflix made its founders and shareholders rich beyond belief. The same thing happened with Borders Group. In 1995, the company was the 600-pound gorilla in the book retailing industry, with $1.6 billion in revenue. Then Amazon entered the market, but not just as any other bookstore. It used the internet to compete. The result? Borders went belly up, more than 10,000 people lost their jobs, and shareholders were wiped out. Meanwhile, you could have made nearly 200,000% on Amazon, enough to turn every $1,000 into nearly $2 million. More recently, we've seen that same story play out with brick-and-mortar retailers like Sears, JCPenney, and Neiman Marcus. They all went to zero. By leveraging the power of the internet, Amazon killed traditional brick-and-mortar retailers, throwing hundreds of thousands of hardworking Americans into unemployment and wiping out their shareholders. Or look what happened with Tower Records. It was one of the biggest music retailers on the planet throughout the mid-90s. Then, Apple entered the market and leveraged the internet to launch its iTunes music store. It was the end of Tower Records. Meanwhile, had you invested $1,000 in Apple, you could have made as much as $525,000. Can you see a pattern here? Throughout the 1990s, those who ignored the internet lost everything. Those who adopted it became part of the 1%. Just look at today's Forbes billionaires list. 7 of the world's top 10 billionaires became wealthy because of the internet, including people like Microsoft founder Bill Gates, Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and Oracle founder Larry Ellison. We're about to see the same kind of disruption, but on a much larger scale, because Project Omega will be far more disruptive than the internet. And I'm not the only one saying that. The CEO of Google said that what's powering this project is, quote, more profound than fire, electricity, or the internet. Barron says, quote, it could upend the world even more than the internet. It will bring change that is orders of magnitude greater than anything the world has yet seen. And Bill Gates has said that what's behind Project Omega is as fundamental as the creation of the personal computer, the internet, and the mobile phone. It will change the way people work, learn, travel, get health care, and communicate with each other. Entire industries will reorient around it. Businesses will distinguish themselves by how well they use it. That's exactly why Project Omega has kicked off a huge gold rush. Microsoft has invested a whopping $10 billion in this project, probably because it knows the company's survival depends upon it. SoftBank's Vision Fund, the world's largest tech venture capital fund, has invested $38 billion in it. IBM has invested $2 billion. From Coca-Cola to General Motors, virtually every company is planning to leverage the power of this project. That's why Wired magazine wrote, "Project Omega is here. Let the gold rush begin." Make no mistake, we're about to see a huge wealth transfer from those who are clueless to those who understand how to leverage this project. And you could be on the winning side of this wealth transfer if you know what to do. I'm going to tell you the 3 steps you need to take today, and even give you a free recommendation, no strings attached. It's a stock that I believe could skyrocket in the coming months and years. I'll give you the name and ticker symbol in just a moment. But first, let me show you exactly what's behind Project Omega. In case you don't know, Omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. It also signifies a grand closure or the conclusion of a large-scale event. I'm calling this Project Omega because it launched a revolution that I believe will end America as we know it. But you probably know this project by another name. You see, unless you've been living in a cave, I'm sure you've heard of ChatGPT. That's the chatbot that displays the first consumer application of a new kind of technology called generative AI. It's a new artificial intelligence that can create original content, including essays, fine art, even software code. Back in 2015, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Sam Altman, and a few other ultra-successful entrepreneurs, used $1 billion of their own money to create OpenAI, a non-profit startup focused on researching and developing artificial intelligence. As a non-profit entity, nobody paid much attention to it in the years that followed. But once the insiders realized what they had created, they quietly changed the status of their company to for-profit. Then they flipped the switch in November 2022. I believe historians will mark that day as the day AI went mainstream. Because now anyone can just go online and use this AI to accomplish things that were impossible just a few months ago. For example, I recently asked the AI to write me an original piano piece in the style of Mozart, a complete workout and nutritional program for a 60-year-old male, and the script of an original episode of Seinfeld. As you can see, it did all that in just a few seconds. Isn't that crazy? This tech is straight out of a sci-fi movie, and it's now going mainstream. Make no mistake, this is the Netscape moment for AI. You see, before Netscape's browser, the internet was mainly used by hardcore techies and researchers, people who had devoted hundreds of hours to understanding the web and all its complexities. But Netscape changed all that. Its user-friendly interface, ease of navigation, and ability to view web pages with multimedia content made it extremely easy for regular people to use the internet. As a result, it paved the way for its widespread adoption. And as you can see in this chart, adoption exploded in 1995. The launch of ChatGPT is doing something similar with artificial intelligence. Over the past decade or so, AI was nothing more than an abstract concept. In fact, as recently as last year, had you mentioned AI to your friends and neighbors, they would probably just roll their eyes. Because most people viewed AI as some far-off technology, something that sounded cool, but you couldn't really see or experience to any real degree. Well, all that changed when ChatGPT went live. AI is now going mainstream, just like the internet did in 1995. Take a look at this chart. I believe it's 1995 all over again, and we're about to see an absolute explosion in AI adoption. Just listen to what Bank of America wrote. We are at a defining moment, like the internet in the 1990s, where artificial intelligence is moving towards mass adoption, with large language models like ChatGPT finally enabling us to fully capitalize on the data revolution. And you better pay attention, because if you catch a revolutionary technology right before it goes mainstream, you could make massive gains in just a few years. For example, I recommended Bitcoin back in 2015, when most people thought it was just some magic internet money. But then it went mainstream, and my readers had the chance to turn $1,000 into as much as $304,000. That's the power of catching a revolutionary technology right before it goes mainstream. You can see gains that are simply impossible under normal circumstances. Just look at what happened with the internet stocks after Netscape went live. Even though the router company Cisco went public in 1990, its shares didn't move much in the first few years. But once the internet started to go mainstream in 1995, boom, shares exploded higher than anyone could have imagined. Had you invested just $1,000 when Netscape went live, you could have cashed out with nearly $56,000 just a few years later. Shares of the semiconductor company Qualcomm jumped even higher, and had you invested $1,000, you could have cashed out with nearly $95,000. Or look at NetApp. $1,000 would have turned into more than $116,000. Remember, these stocks started to take off once the masses began to adopt the internet. We're about to see the same type of adoption in AI. What do you think is going to happen with AI stocks? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. We're about to see a massive boom in AI stocks, just like we did in the 1990s with internet stocks. But there's one big difference. I believe the gains will be much bigger, and it will happen much faster. Why? Because we've never seen a technology being adopted this fast. Never. It's getting adopted 42 times faster than the internet. Think about how insane that is. Just a few months after its release, ChatGPT became the fastest growing consumer software application in history. It took the app only 2 months to reach 100 million users. So for perspective, it took Netflix an entire decade to gain 100 million users. Take a look at how long it took these other massive companies to reach 100 million users. Simply put, ChatGPT is being adopted faster than Instagram, faster than Facebook, faster than Twitter, Gmail, and Netflix. This is very important because faster adoption means faster wealth creation. For example, they recently launched a premium subscription service of $20 per month for ChatGPT. Let's assume only 10% of the users subscribe to this paid version. That's $200 million a month, or $2.4 billion a year in revenue. Under this hypothetical scenario, in just 2 months, OpenAI would have gone from an unknown company with $0 in sales to $2.4 billion in sales. And it's still growing at a lightning fast speed. Some experts estimate OpenAI will soon have 1 billion users. If you do that math, that's a potential $24 billion in revenue. From $0 to $24 billion in less than a year. That's the power of AI. And it just shows you how fast it can create wealth. That's why it's critical that you act now or you'll be left out. You see, in the coming months and years, AI will transform every aspect of your life, and it will revolutionize every single industry: retail, marketing, customer service, entertainment, logistics, banking, defense. They'll all be turned upside down. Take healthcare, for example. According to Forbes, AI has the potential to unlock cures for various diseases and save the lives of millions of people, perhaps even billions in the process. Many diseases today don't have a cure because the traditional method of trial and error is very slow and very expensive. It can cost an average of $2.3 billion to develop just a single drug. And it normally takes about 10 years. AI is adding an incredible speed, efficiency, and accuracy to that process. Soon, we'll be able to have drugs in 1/10 of the time, if not even faster. In short, AI will give us life-changing, game-changing drugs on a scale and at a pace that we've never seen before. And this is not some far-off scenario. It's already happening. For example, scientists recently developed a treatment for cancer in just 30 days using an AI drug discovery platform called Pharma AI. Humans have failed terribly when it comes to finding a cure for cancer. But I believe AI will soon succeed. Think about the investment opportunities that this revolution in healthcare will create. To give you an idea of the potential here, let me show you what happened with Intuitive Surgical, an AI company focused on precision surgery. Had you invested just $1,000, you could have made more than $400,000. We saw something similar with Medtronic, an AI firm that develops medical technologies to treat chronic diseases. If you had invested a small $1,000 stake, you could have flipped it into as much as $760,000. And all these massive gains happened even before AI went mainstream, when the tech was much less advanced than it is today. Imagine what's going to happen in the coming months and years. And healthcare is just one example. Let's look at transportation. We're already seeing a few self-driving cars in the streets. They're all powered by AI. Soon, they'll be everywhere. Autonomous cars will become the safest vehicles on the road, eventually reducing 90% of traffic fatalities. And it's not just the cars we drive. Anything on wheels will be transformed. For example, trash cans will take themselves out, and self-driving garbage trucks will pick them up. That's also going to create some incredible investment opportunities. Just look at what already happened with Tesla. Had you invested $1,000 in it, you could have made more than $250,000. Most people can't understand how an electric vehicle company can create so much wealth. They can't understand because they're missing the big picture. You see, Tesla isn't just a car company. Its cars are basically computers on wheels. In terms of self-driving AI technology, Tesla is way ahead of everybody else. I believe that's a big reason why shares exploded higher than anyone predicted. Another area where we'll see big changes is in manufacturing processes. Robots powered by AI that move like humans will soon take over the manufacturing of most goods. Again, that's not a far-off scenario. In fact, you might have seen footage of these robots from Boston Dynamics doing some incredible things. All these robots will be powered by AI semiconductors. So that will definitely be another area where we're going to see a boom. Just look at what has already happened with NVIDIA, the semiconductor design leader that's specializing in artificial intelligence. Shares have exploded high enough to turn $1,000 into as much as $929,000. The potential gains here are just unheard of, which is why the star investor of ABC's Shark Tank, billionaire Mark Cuban, said, "The world's first trillionaires are going to come from somebody who masters AI and all its derivatives and applies it in ways we never thought of." This is all happening at warp speed. Remember, ChatGPT is already being adopted 42 times faster than the internet. In fact, Elon Musk said, "The pace of progress in artificial intelligence is incredibly fast. Unless you have direct exposure, you have no idea how fast. It is growing at a pace close to exponential." That's why I said earlier that if you blink, you'll be left out. And trust me, you do not want to miss out on this $15.7 trillion trend. Because if you end up on the losing side of this wealth transfer, you could even end up on welfare. Like I mentioned before, this new technology will drastically increase the wealth gap in ways you don't even think are possible. I believe millions of unprepared Americans will fall into poverty and have to depend on a government welfare program known as Universal Basic Income. In other words, even though this tech is about to trigger a massive boom, it could also help usher in a new wave of socialism in America. You see, most people think that breakthrough technologies always lead to prosperity for everyone. But that's not true. History suggests that the elite and capital owners see immediate benefits from this kind of tech breakthrough. But the workers don't always experience the benefits right away. For example, after the Industrial Revolution got started in Britain in 1760, GDP and corporate profits soared because of technologies like the steam engine. But it took an estimated 50 years for real wages to rise. This phenomenon where wages don't rise with new technologies is known as Engels' pause. It's named after the German philosopher Friedrich Engels, who originally noted this delay. And it happens when a new technology replaces workers, pushing millions of people into the job market. With so many more people competing for available jobs, the workers have very little bargaining power. As a result, wages remain low. It happened during the Industrial Revolution, and it's happening again. Many experts actually believe the U.S. has been stuck in an Engels pause for the last few decades. According to economists from MIT, the adoption of robots in the industrial heartland of the American economy in the Midwest has simply destroyed manufacturing jobs and led to a prolonged regional decline. And that's a big reason why income inequality has gotten so bad in the U.S. Take a look. While wages for college-educated, white-collar professionals kept increasing, the wages for blue-collar workers barely moved. In fact, when you adjust it for inflation, blue-collar wages are actually 15% lower than they were in 1980. In other words, they're making less money now than they were making more than 40 years ago. No wonder a recent report shows that 57% of Americans can't afford even a $1,000 emergency. Meanwhile, just in recent years, billionaires have added $5 trillion to their wealth. But it's about to get much worse. because AI will soon explode this wealth gap. According to the Brookings Institute, 50 out of every 100 blue-collar jobs will be replaced by AI. That includes jobs like fast food preparation, office administration, and even transportation jobs like truck drivers. An AI truck can drive from the port of Long Beach near Los Angeles to Chicago without stopping for a meal, without taking sleeping breaks, and without requiring health insurance or a pension. Do you think companies will think twice before replacing their drivers with these trucks? No, they won't. So think about that. As a truck driver, you can earn about $80,000 per year in the US. That's enough to support a family in most small to mid-tier cities, even with today's inflation. Well, AI is about to push that salary down to a big fat zero. Think about what that means for the 3.5 million truck drivers in the United States. It's the same story for warehouse and manufacturing workers. Amazon already has more than 100,000 AI-powered robots in its warehouses. Soon, I believe there will virtually be no humans there. Walmart, the largest private employer in the US, said recently that in the next 3 years, it will use AI to automate a large number of its stores. It said 65% of its stores and 55% of its fulfillment centers will be fully automated. And listen to what the president of the tech firm Infosys told the New York Times. People are looking to achieve very big numbers. Earlier, they had incremental 5 to 10% goals in reducing their workforce. Now they're saying, why can't we do it with 1% of the people we have? In other words, many companies are already planning to get rid of their workers and replace them with AI. And it gets worse, because this time, not even white-collar jobs will be safe. For example, let me tell you about a study published by LawGeeks, a leading AI contract review platform. It pitted 20 attorneys against the AI to identify errors in various contracts. The result? The lawyers were able to identify mistakes with 85% accuracy in roughly 92 minutes. But get this, the AI managed to find errors in the contracts with 94% accuracy, and it did it in just 26 seconds. That's roughly 200 times faster than the 20 lawyers. And the craziest part is, this happened in 2018. The technology is much better now. In fact, ChatGPT just passed the Uniform Bar exam with a score higher than 90% of lawyers. ChatGPT also passed the US medical licensing exam without any input from doctors. That's why I believe services like ChatGPT will soon start putting writers, journalists, paralegals, software developers, and digital marketers out of a job. That's exactly why Goldman Sachs is already warning that 300 million people around the globe could soon lose their jobs to AI. Think about how insane that is. And here's the big problem. In the past, most of the folks who got displaced by new technology could just learn a new skill. But that won't be easy this time, because they'll need to learn a new skill that AI can't do. As AI continues to develop more and more, that will be almost impossible. And that's why I believe that millions of Americans will have no choice but to go on welfare. Maybe you've heard some folks in Congress floating around a radical socialist idea called universal basic income. It's basically the idea that the government should provide a guaranteed income of about $1,000 per month for all adult citizens, whether or not they work. Not surprisingly, politicians on the left, like AOC, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders, have all defended the idea. But what is surprising is that many of the tech investors and billionaires who are developing AI believe universal basic income is inevitable. Elon Musk, for example, has said that thanks to AI, there will need to be a universal basic income. The founder of OpenAI has also been promoting this idea because he knows what's coming. And virtually all the big tech founders defend the idea, including Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Larry Page. Right now, the idea of universal basic income is still radical for most investors. But what happens when 300 million people lose their jobs to AI and automation? I believe more and more people will begin supporting that idea, and millions of Americans will have no choice but to get on welfare. That's the bad news. And it's bad. But here's the good news. The few who take advantage of this revolution could come out of this shift wealthier than ever. And today, you can decide which side you'll be on. But like I mentioned before, you'll have to act fast. You see, there are rumors circulating on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley that OpenAI will launch a new version of ChatGPT sometime this year. And the CEO of OpenAI says this upgraded version may pass the Turing test. What's the Turing test? It's a test that determines whether or not a machine can reason as intelligently as a human. Once ChatGPT is able to pass this test, then it can reach a point of no return, a point where advancements in AI just take off like a rocket. That's why I can't stress enough that you must act now, and why, in just a moment, I'm going to give you a free recommendation. It's a stock that I believe could skyrocket in the coming months and years. I'll give you the name and ticker symbol in just a moment, because once they flip a switch on this upgrade, many of the AI stocks I'm targeting could go parabolic. And I believe it will be too late for you to profit from this trend. In fact, each day you wait, you could be leaving a lot of money on the table, because AI stocks have already been booming in recent months. For example, shares of semiconductor company NVIDIA jumped 135%. AI education company Nerdy has more than doubled. Shares of AI data company Innodata jumped 187%. AI software firm C3AI jumped as high as 230%. Shares of SoundHound, a company that provides voice-related AI solutions, skyrocketed 379%. And AI consulting company Big Bear AI Holdings exploded an incredible 865%. Think about that. While the Dow Jones Industrial Average basically was flat for the year, these stocks already gave shareholders the chance to make 2, 3, even 8 times their money, all in just a few months. So how can you get started in this booming market? Well, let me show you the 3 steps I recommend you take immediately. Step number 1, buy shares of these 3 AI dominators. Imagine it's the late 1990s, and you come across this cover of Time magazine. It had just named Jeff Bezos the Person of the Year because he was using the internet to change the way we shop forever. And let's say you invested $1,000 in Amazon. It would have turned into more than $1.7 million as Amazon went on to dominate the e-commerce revolution. Take a look. Of course, you can't rewind the clock and have a second chance to invest in the internet leaders like Amazon, but you can invest in tomorrow's AI leaders. Remember, we're still in the first inning. AI is now going mainstream, just like the internet did in 1995. That means you have another shot at those kinds of explosive gains. I've already identified 3 companies I believe will be the biggest winners of this AI revolution, and I put all the details inside a special report called The Top 3 Stocks for the AI Revolution. Inside, you'll find their names and ticker symbols, and my full analysis. One of the companies I'm recommending recently started using AI to predict the onset of diseases, allowing doctors to address health problems before they even occur. Another company I'm recommending is building the infrastructure that AI is built upon. Investing in it could be like investing in steel during the construction of the railroads. You'll also learn about a company that I believe will help take AI robots mainstream. Remember, I've already picked 41 stocks that have jumped at least 1,000%. My next big winner could very well be inside this report. So once you get a hold of it, I recommend you buy all these 3 plays immediately. They're already beating the market. So don't waste any time, because the longer you wait, the more money you could be leaving on the table. I'll tell you how to claim this report in just a moment. But first, there's another step you need to take to land on the right side of this $15.7 trillion shift. Step number 2, buy my top 3 AI moonshot plays. You see, the biggest gains during this coming AI boom are not going to come from large established players. They will come from smaller companies with names you've probably never heard of before. How do I know that? Because that's exactly what happened during the internet boom. Take Microsoft, for example. After Netscape's launch, Bill Gates saw the internet's potential as clear as day. He knew Microsoft had to be at the forefront of it. So in 1995, Microsoft released its famous browser, Internet Explorer. And the rest, as they say, is history. Had you invested in the company back then, you could have made 10 times your money by the end of that decade. And while that's a great return, it's nothing compared to what happened with the smaller internet players, like the tiny semiconductor company Semtech. Take a look. Its shares exploded by 25,000% by the end of that decade. That's enough to turn $1,000 into almost $250,000 in just a few years. Or look at network equipment company Viavi Solutions. It jumped an incredible 66,547%, enough to turn a tiny investment of $1,000 into more than $666,000 by the end of that decade. And as crazy as that sounds, shares of Steel Connect went even higher. They skyrocketed an unbelievable 125,453%. That means, had you invested just $1,000, by the end of that decade, you'd be a millionaire with more than $1.2 million in your account. Can you see the power of small cap stocks when you get in just before a disruptive technology goes mainstream? If you missed those massive gains in internet stocks, you now have a second chance with what I'm calling the AI Moonshots. I already selected the 3 with the most upside potential, and I put all the details inside this special report. Inside it, you'll learn about a tiny company that's using the power of AI to revolutionize the energy sector. I'll give you a hint. It's already partnered with a slew of Fortune 500 companies across the US, including Amazon and Walmart. The $5 stock is at the forefront of the AI revolution in the airline space, and an AI company that can find gold and other metals underground without any drilling. With gold making new all-time highs recently, shares could skyrocket soon. You'll find their names and ticker symbols and my full analysis. I'll tell you how to claim this report in just a moment, but there's one more step I recommend, and that is step number 3. Avoid these 3 AI losers. Imagine, had you invested your hard-earned money in companies like Blockbuster, Borders Group, or JCPenney, you'd have lost your shirt because all those companies failed to adapt to the new internet world. Trust me, we've entered a new world, the AI world, and there will be plenty of companies that will fail to adapt. I've identified 3 already that could go bankrupt because of AI. Please pay close attention because they could be sitting in your portfolio right now, which is why I'd like to send you another report called The Top 3 AI Losers. Avoid these stocks like the plague. Don't touch these companies, no matter how cheap they get, because there's a very good chance their shares are going to zero, or will at least severely underperform the market over the next few years. So how can you claim all 3 of these reports? Well, I'd like to give you immediate access to all of them, completely free of charge. All I ask in return is that you try a no-risk trial subscription to my monthly newsletter, Fry's Investment Report. Every month, in Fry's Investment Report, I'll show you the new tech breakthroughs sweeping our world, including AI. But it's not just technology. We go well beyond tech trends because I look for all the best opportunities in the market, wherever they may be. On Wall Street, that's called global macro investing. And it simply means I look for big picture trends that drive huge multi-year moves in entire sectors of the market, in any asset, in any country, in any direction. So my team and I are constantly analyzing interest rates, business cycles, disruptive technologies, consumer trends, geopolitical events, and much more. Typically, in each issue of Fry's Investment Report, we include our number 1 recommendation for that month. It's super easy to read, and all you need to do is decide if you want to participate in those plays. Thanks to this global macro approach, I've found a total of 41 opportunities that could have 10x your money. I've also managed to uncover another 19 investments that have each shot up at least 500%, like Shandong Power, up nearly 700%, Tata Communications, up nearly 800%, and Tech Corp, up more than 900%. Now, those are some of my best gains, and past performance doesn't guarantee future results. But to my knowledge, no other research advisory of this kind gets even close to this kind of track record. So here's the good news for you. Normally, access to Fry's Investment Report would cost $199 per year. But today, I want to give you a chance to try my research totally risk-free at a huge discount to the normal price. Before we get to those details, though, there's another special report I'd like to give you today. You see, earlier, I mentioned that automation has economically destroyed the American heartland in the past few decades. But I recently discovered an incredible renaissance going on. I believe I've uncovered America's new technological heartland, and I'm not talking about Silicon Valley. Instead, I'm talking about Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, Georgia, Alabama, and both Carolinas. Because in each of these states, especially in Kentucky and Tennessee, there's a new multi-year mega boom emerging, and nobody's talking about this, which is why I recently hopped on a plane and flew almost 2,000 miles to Tennessee to investigate what's happening. And what I discovered is shocking. More than 220 institutional investors with over $60 trillion under management have signaled that they're ready to get on board with this new trend that I'm calling Made in America 2.0. Legendary investors and billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Ray Dalio, and Warren Buffett are already investing in this massive new trend. But this isn't exclusive to billionaires and the elite. Anyone can participate, which is why I also want to put another bonus report in your hands. It's called the new 1000% portfolio. And it has the details on 5 stocks that could skyrocket in the coming months and years on the back of this mega boom. And best of all, you can access this report, along with the 3 previous reports, free of charge. All you need to do is take a risk-free trial to Fry's investment report. So, here's a recap of everything you'll receive. Our next 12 monthly issues of Fry's investment report and all my investment recommendations, about one a month. Bonus report number 1, the top 3 stocks for the AI revolution. Bonus report number 2, the AI moonshots. Bonus report number 3, the top 3 AI losers. Avoid these stocks like the plague. And bonus report number 4, the new 1000% portfolio. You'll also get full access to my online archives at our members-only website. That includes not just past issues, but also all my past research reports, plus a regularly updated look at our model portfolio. So here's the deal. Instead of the regular price of $199, you can begin your trial today with just $49, which is a full 75% discount off the normal rate. That comes out to just $4 per month. Why so affordable? It's simple. First, you probably don't know me yet, so I understand I need to earn your trust first. That's why I negotiated with my publisher to keep the price as low as possible, a price that barely covers the cost of keeping this page online. Simply put, I didn't want the price to be an issue for you. But there's a second, more important reason. For the past few years, I've become increasingly frustrated watching the endless debates about the huge and growing wealth gap in America. And with AI now going mainstream, I believe that wealth gap will become 1,000 times worse. Millions of Americans are about to fall into poverty and will have to depend upon universal basic income, while a fraction of people are set to ascend to new levels of wealth. I'm confident my research can arm you with the information you need to land on the right side of the wealth gap. That's my bigger mission here. So click on the button below to get started. Clicking that button will not obligate you to anything. It will simply take you to a secure order form where you can review one more time the details of this offer. Remember, I'm not asking you to make any long-term commitment. This is just a risk-free trial. And when I say risk-free, I mean it. You can take the entire next year to test drive Fry's investment report and see how you like it at absolutely no risk. That's right. Take the next 365 days to try my research. If you're not happy with your subscription for any reason, simply let us know during the next year and you'll receive a full refund of every penny you paid, no questions asked. And you can keep all the special reports as my gift to you. Like I said, there's no risk to you. But before I let you go, I promised I'd give you a free pick. So here you go. The name of the company is Medtronic. The ticker symbol is MDT. Like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to AI applications, healthcare is one of the most exciting areas, and Medtronic is a leader in this space. It's already using AI for its robotic-assisted surgery platforms, colonoscopy and endoscopy systems, as well as insulin pumps. And now, it just launched the only FDA-cleared smart insulin pen that uses AI to help type 1 diabetes patients who rely on multiple daily injections. But of course, I believe the biggest gains will come from the stocks I've selected in my special reports. Remember, you can claim all these reports for free today by simply taking a risk-free trial subscription. You can try the subscription for the next 365 days at no risk to you. This kind of guarantee is pretty much unheard of. I'm only able to offer it because I'm confident that once you read my research, you'll want to stick around. Now, everyone knows that all investments carry risk. You should never risk more than what you're willing to lose. But you should know the average annual gain for Fry's investment report since inception is 42.41%. So go ahead and click the button below to get started. Because like I showed you today, we have no time to waste. AI is being adopted faster than anything we've ever seen. And that means each day you wait, you could be leaving money on the table. Each day you wait, you're essentially gambling with your financial future. and risking becoming one of the millions of Americans who will end up on welfare because of AI. I'm sure you'll make the right decision for you and your family. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to welcoming you to Fry's Investment Report.